Thank you, Encik Zaki. Without waiting any longer, we would like to invite Dr. Afifah, our Head of Pathology Department, Hospital Sungai Buloh, for the opening speech and at the same time to officiate the ceremony.
Saudari pengurusi majlis. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi and good morning juga. Bersyukur kita kepada Allah kerana dengan izinnya kita dapat menjalankan bengkel hari ini. Bengkel ini merupakan anjuran Hospital Ampang dengan kerjasama Hospital Sungai Buloh dan juga syarikat Randox, dengan tujuan untuk meningkatkan kualiti untuk that's why the tajuk is perfecting quality management. Dan selain itu kita akan syarikat Randox akan memperkenalkan satu skim EQA yang baru daripada Rikas. Selalu we are so familiar dengan RCPA and so on. Maybe we get a better perspective from them about the new scheme. Saya difahamkan partisipan hari ini daripada Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, juga daripada Pahang, Melaka dan Negeri Sembilan. Hasrat kami sebenarnya nak buat the whole country, tapi disebabkan kekangan kewangan dan juga kekangan AJK, mungkin ini dia yang termampu. Walau bagaimanapun memang saya ucapkan cabar kepada AJK, Hospital Ampang, Hospital Sungai Buloh dan juga Randox, kerana tanpa dedikasi mereka, seminar hari ini tak mungkin tercapai. Dan walaupun ianya cuma satu hari, tetapi sebagai partisipan hari ini dapatkanlah peluang keemasan ni untuk berkongsi pengalaman, mendapatkan pengetahuan terkini yang dapat kita aplikasikan dalam perkhidmatan kita setiap hari. Saya tidak bercakap panjang, saya diberi mandat untuk merasmikan hari ini. So dengan lafaz Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, saya merasmikan Perfecting Quality Control Management 2019 ini. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Afifah. We would like Dr. Afifah to stay on the stage to receive a token of appreciation. For that, please welcome Dr. Maizatu Itri binti J. Hashim, the chairperson of this program, to give the token of appreciation.
Moving along, it is now our pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. There will be 3 speakers with us today. So please welcome our first speaker, Mr. Edward Hill, to talk about third-party QC with software connectivity, followed by a case study. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Edward Hill.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So just a bit of an overview for today. So my name is Edward Hill. I am coming today from Randox Laboratories to talk to you a little bit about quality control and how we can aim to improve the quality control of our laboratories. So today we'll cover a bit on quality control, and then we will also have a look at external quality assessment. And we will also have a look at a demonstration of our peer group reporting software package and QC data management software package as well. So the first presentation we are going to look at is how we can design an appropriate QC strategy. And throughout, I will be giving examples of how quality control is conducted primarily in the United Kingdom. So this is the country that I am from. It's the area that I know best in terms of quality control. So I felt it was the best place to give examples from. So first things first, what do we actually use QC for? So QC is all about ensuring that our products, that we are producing accurate and reliable patient results. So the QC procedure needs then to reflect this. So your QC procedure needs to be risk-based and therefore reducing the chance of risk to your patients. So approximately 70% of all medical decisions are based on laboratory results, which obviously means that it's incredibly important that we get these results correct every time. So there can be 5 main steps for implementing a successful QC plan. So these are some general things to think about. The first of which is to identify the quality specifications of the test. The second is to choose good quality control QC materials. And third is to start and end patient testing with a QC evaluation. Fourth is to know the characteristics of good QC results and therefore the characteristics of bad QC results as well. And finally, to ensure that you are able to recognize and troubleshoot an out of control QC event. So the first things we need to remember are that not every one of our tests will perform in the same way. And that's fine, because not every test needs to perform the same way. It is important to then give poor performing tests and high risk tests more QC attention. So I'm sure we can all imagine in our own labs one of our tests that is a poor performer and one of our tests that is a good performer. So some tests give us lots of problems, other tests don't give us very many problems at all. So again, important to differentiate between what's a good performing test and what is a bad performing test. And we can find that out through our IQC precision, through the accuracy of our EQA, and also our method validations as well. So one way to differentiate is to use what is known as Six Sigma. So Six Sigma is a method of process improvement which allows us to quantify the accuracy and efficiency of each of our QC tests. So we can then use that information to improve our QC strategy. So Six Sigma is an area we will talk about in a good deal more detail towards the end of this session. So, some prime examples. First of all, on the left-hand side we have albumin. So albumin is known for being a very stable test. It gives consistently good IQC and EQA performance. However, if we look at bicarbonate, which is known for being one of the more difficult tests, it is generally unstable. It gives us variable IQC and EQA performance as well. So it would make sense then for our albumin test that we would need to run QC less frequently because it is inherently a good performing test. However, for bicarbonate, it is then important that we run QC much more frequently in order to attempt to improve the method's performance and to identify any of the statistically more likely errors that we are going to get. So not every test performs the same, and our total allowable error is a calculation that lets us look at the amount of error that can be tolerated without negatively affecting our patient care. So for example, for amylase, there is quite a wide total allowable error of plus or minus 30%, whereas with chloride, the total allowable error is just plus or minus 5%. So for each different test, we will have different allowable limits that we can work with. So So obviously we need to understand which tests are high-risk tests, and we need to then run QC more often on these tests. So what then is a high-risk test? So it is a test where there could be a detrimental consequence should the wrong result be released. It's a test that supports the clinician's decision in isolation. It is a test that is acted upon immediately. So for example, if you look at your troponin cardiac markers, they would more than likely be acted on immediately should we determine that a patient would be in the dangerous range for your troponins. It's finally a test that is performed on a specimen that is difficult or painful to collect. So prime example here would be if we need to take a sample of a patient's cerebrospinal fluid, which obviously requires some kind of spinal puncture to take that sample, which is incredibly painful for that patient. So if we mess up this test and we need to take another sample, that patient will more than likely be very upset about that. So take-home methods, our take-home messages for our first consideration is to determine the performance of each one of your tests, to remember that not every test performs the same, to identify your high-risk tests, and to perform QC more for poor-performing tests and less than for tests that perform well. So the effectiveness of any QC procedure is underpinned by the quality control materials that you choose to use. So throughout these presentations,